Hey everyone, before the story begins, make sure to subscribe to the channel. These stories are intense, emotional, and real, and your support keeps them coming. My wife smirked. Don't be so dramatic. It's just flirting. I handed her the papers and smiled back. We were sitting in our flat in Vienna, on the 5th floor overlooking the Danube Canal, where the waters shimmered like molten silver under the winter sun. Outside, trams clattered along the streets, and the smell of roasted chestnuts from street vendors seeped through the window cracks. The city was alive, oblivious to the storm brewing in our apartment. I remember exactly how she looked. Isabella, my wife of 12 years, hair pulled into a loose bun, lipstick faintly smudged, the kind of smirk that used to make me laugh before it became a warning. She had her phone in one hand, coffee in the other, scrolling through messages with that easy, detached arrogance that had first drawn me to her, and that now made my chest tighten with a cold, familiar dread. I said, "Don't be so dramatic," she repeated, leaning back on the sofa. "It's harmless." I didn't respond immediately. Instead, I placed the manila envelope I had been carrying on the coffee table. Its edges were sharp and precise, its contents heavier than any stone I'd ever lifted. "Is this?" she began, her voice faltering slightly, caught between curiosity and dread. "Yes," I said calmly, smiling, letting the silence fill the room like a blade. "Divorce papers, custody agreement, and an accounting of all the things you've been hiding." Her smirk froze. Then, very carefully, she set her coffee down. "Accounting?" I nodded. "I think you know what I mean." The truth is, Isabella wasn't just flirting. She had been weaving a web of lies, secrets, and betrayals for years, and I had finally untangled it, piece by piece, with the precision of someone who had nothing left to lose. It started in Munich, a decade earlier. My family, modest but proud, owned a small chain of artisanal furniture stores. Generations had worked the sawdust, the varnish, the lacquer, crafting pieces that were renowned for their durability and elegance. Isabella came into my life as the daughter of a wealthy industrialist. Her father, a man whose factories lined the outskirts of the city like monuments to ambition. She was charming, brilliant, and dangerously observant. She married me, and for a while, it was perfect. Our worlds collided in a storm of passion and mutual fascination. Then the cracks appeared, subtle at first. Late nights at work events, a quick glance at a message I wasn't meant to see, a credit card statement showing transactions I couldn't explain, and the way she laughed at other men. Oh, how she laughed, like she was daring them to notice her, daring me to fail to notice. I tried to dismiss it. Love is patient, and I told myself she loved me. But the truth is, people rarely betray for nothing, and betrayal always leaves a trail. I followed the trail meticulously. The hidden accounts, the overseas transfers, the shell companies under false names, gifts to men she met in cafes, at art galleries, even at my own family's private events. They weren't just casual flirtations. They were transactions. Investments in new lives, she imagined, while our marriage crumbled quietly in the background. I hired a private investigator in Vienna. By the time Isabella's smirk had become habitual, I already knew everything. I had the evidence. Hundreds of photographs, emails, bank transfers, hotel receipts, all documented and time-stamped. And I waited, because revenge, as I've learned, is not anger in the moment. It's patience sculpted into precision. That morning, when she smiled at me and called my reaction dramatic, I realized she thought she controlled the narrative. She thought she could play the charming, untouchable wife, while I simmered silently. I handed her the papers. She blinked at the envelope, then at me. "You've been watching me?" she asked, voice shaky. "I've been learning," I said. "Not just about you, but about myself, about what I'm willing to fight for." She laughed nervously. "All of this, for flirting, for the years of it," I said. "For every time you treated our life like a joke, for every secret you kept from me, for every time you made me question my worth while plotting your own escape." She tried to grab the envelope. I let her. Her hands shook. Her composure cracked. The first phase of revenge wasn't legal. It was psychological. I let her believe she still had power, letting her call lawyers, discuss settlements, play out her charade of dominance. Meanwhile, I ensured every financial and legal angle was airtight, evidence hidden in plain sight, every loophole closed, every potential advantage neutralized. Her family, once her shield, became her scrutiny. I leaked carefully curated documents to her father, showing how she had manipulated family funds for personal escapades, how she had flirted with business partners in ways that could compromise contracts, how her innocent flirtations had financial implications. When her father confronted her, her world began to fracture. "You've jeopardized everything," he said, voice low, sharp. "Our trust, our company, your life here." She turned to me, wild-eyed, but I smiled, always calm, always composed. "You wanted drama," I said. "I gave you truth." The legal battles were next. The custody of our daughter, Sophia, who was 7, became the battleground. Isabella had underestimated the emotional fortress I had built around her. I didn't just fight for custody. I fought to protect our daughter from the instability Isabella had cultivated. I presented evidence of neglect, of emotional manipulation, of priorities placed above a child's well-being. She fought hard, but I had the momentum. And when the court ruled in my favor, she realized that charm, smirks, and wealth could not compensate for a lifetime of deceit and betrayal meticulously documented. By spring, Isabella's public persona had collapsed. Social circles once envious of her life began to distance themselves. Colleagues whispered about her duplicity. Invitations disappeared. Her family's business influence could not shield her from the legal and social consequences of her actions. And through it all, I remained composed, calm, present for our daughter. Sophia, our daughter, thrived, blossoming in the stability I ensured. The final phase was quiet. Isabella left Vienna, moving to Zurich, attempting to rebuild her life under a cloud of consequence she had refused to see coming. I visited once to finalize remaining settlements. She looked at me and tried to smile. It was weak, hollow. "You've changed," she said. "I've been myself," I replied, for the first time in years. As I walked away, past the Danube's silvery reflection, the wind biting my cheeks with the crisp promise of winter, I realized that revenge had never been about cruelty. It was about justice, precision, and reclaiming what she had tried to take. My dignity, my family, my life. And in the end, smiling as I handed her the papers, I understood that real power lies not in the smirk, not in the flirtation, not in secrecy. Real power lies in patience, in observation, in the careful orchestration of truth. I returned home, holding my daughter's hand, watching the light bounce off the canal. The storm of betrayal had passed, and for the first time in years, I felt the quiet thrill of victory, not over her, but over everything that had once threatened to destroy us. Because in life, the sweetest revenge is not fury. It is the calm assertion of the truth and the rebuilding of a life that cannot be taken from you. And as the city hummed around us, oblivious, I smiled back.